Hello horror fans, welcome back to the Alarming Archives. It's your time of the year, with Halloween still fresh in the memory. Let's jump into some scary stories, and thanks again so much for tuning in. Today, we will get into some true stalker stories. Buckle up, it will be a scary ride.
Story 1. The Web of Shadows. Email menace. I was a 33-year-old woman who never believed in the horror stories you hear about online, the tales of faceless predators lurking in the digital shadows. I thought they were just cautionary tales, urban legends that couldn't touch my world, until it happened to me. It all started with an innocent email, just another message lost in the sea of my inbox. At first, the words were friendly, almost comforting. The sender claimed to be a friend, someone who had known me for years, someone who had been watching my every move. The hairs on the back of my neck stood on end as I read those words. The messages started to arrive at all hours, relentless and chilling. The sender knew things about me that no one should know, secrets that I had never shared with anyone. They described my daily routine with an unsettling accuracy, from the color of my front door to the way I took my coffee in the morning. I tried to shake off the fear, to convince myself it was just a sick joke. But then the photos began to arrive. Pictures of me, captured in the most private moments of my life. Alone in my bedroom, walking through the deserted streets at night, even in the quiet moments when I thought I was safe. The sender was watching me, always watching. I changed my email, my phone, my online presence, but the messages continued. They taunted me, mocked my attempts to escape. Each word they wrote was laced with a malevolence that sent shivers down my spine. The darkest night came when they sent a video. It was a recording of my own home, my safe haven, invaded and violated. I watched in horror as the camera panned through my rooms, lingering on my belongings, my life. The final frame was an image of my own terrified face, staring into the lens of the camera. I went to the authorities, but they could find no trace of the sender, no digital footprint, no IP address, nothing. It was as if they existed only in the darkest corners of the internet, a ghostly presence that defied all attempts to unmask them. The messages still arrived, even now, despite my best efforts to disappear into the real world. I live in constant fear, looking over my shoulder, wondering when the next message will come. The cyberstalker, the faceless predator, is out there, in the shadows, and I know they will never stop. But then, just when I thought I would lose my mind, they suddenly stopped. The relentless messages, the chilling photos, and the constant feeling of being watched all ceased as abruptly as they had begun. I couldn't believe it. It was as if the digital specter that haunted my life had vanished into thin air. The unknown, however, still lingered, a heavy shadow that continued to cast its darkness over my life. I had escaped the clutches of a cyber stalker, but the scars they had left behind were permanent, a constant reminder of the horror I had endured. I had learned the harsh lesson that in the digital world, there were true monsters, and they were not always easy to unmask. The faceless predator who had tormented me may have vanished for now, but I knew that the threat remained, lurking in the depths of the internet, waiting to strike again. The nightmare had left an indelible mark on my life, and I was forever changed by the knowledge that the digital realm held secrets and horrors that defied explanation. And so I lived on, always glancing over my shoulder, waiting for the day when the shadows would return. Thanks so much for watching. If you're enjoying the stories, please smash the subscribe, like, and share buttons. It is truly appreciated and will help the channel to grow. With that being said, let's jump right back into the stories. Story 2. I Nightmare. I was a 28-year-old man who had always embraced the convenience of my iPhone. It was my lifeline to the digital world, my connection to friends, family, and the vast expanse of the internet. Little did I know that my cherished device would become the conduit to my worst nightmare. Usually, these stories are about woman, but oh no, I have one hell of a story to tell. It began with a seemingly innocent app that I downloaded, just one of countless on the App Store. I considered myself tech-savvy, so I didn't think anything of it. It promised to enhance my device's functionality, and I saw no harm in trying it out. But from the moment I installed it, my life took a sinister turn. Odd things started happening. My phone's settings would change on their own. My texts and emails were read before I even had a chance to, and I would receive mysterious notifications, each one more disturbing than the last. The worst part was the sender's knowledge of my life, my routines, and my secrets. My digital stalker knew when I woke up, what I had for breakfast, and even the route I took to work. They had infiltrated every aspect of my existence, leaving me with a growing sense of dread. As days turned into weeks, the situation escalated. Photos that I had taken on my iPhone began appearing in my messages, but I hadn't shared them with anyone. There were images of me at my most vulnerable, captured in private moments within the confines of my own home. I deleted the suspicious app, but it was too late. The stalker had already wormed their way into the very heart of my digital life. They began sending me messages with chilling accuracy, recounting details from my private conversations and describing my most intimate moments. I took my phone to the authorities, but the experts were baffled. The stalker seemed to possess an uncanny knowledge of technology, leaving no trace or digital footprint to follow. It was as if they were a phantom of the digital world, a presence that defied all attempts to unmask. The nightmare continued, with no end in sight. My cherished iPhone had become a source of terror, and I found myself constantly on edge, never knowing when the next message would arrive. My privacy had been utterly shattered, and I lived in fear of what the stalker might do next. As the months passed, just when I thought I couldn't take it any longer, the messages stopped. The unrelenting nightmare that had consumed my life seemed to vanish as suddenly as it had begun. I was left with a haunting uncertainty, wondering why the tormentor had released their grip. The unknown hung over me like a dark cloud, a reminder of the digital horrors that could hide in plain sight. I had learned the hard way that in the world of technology, there were predators who could invade your life without leaving a trace. Though the messages had ceased, the scars of my ordeal remained, etched into my psyche. I had glimpsed the true terror of the digital age, and I was forever changed by the knowledge that the virtual realm held secrets and horrors that defied explanation. My confidence in my own ability as a tech savant was completely destroyed. I lived on, cautiously navigating the digital landscape, always aware that the next iPhone could become the conduit to another haunting nightmare.
Title: The Unseen Pursuer. Phone Calls of Terror. I was a 32-year-old woman living alone in a quaint suburban neighborhood. Life was peaceful, and I felt safe within the comfort of my home. Little did I know that my peaceful existence was about to be shattered by an unseen pursuer who would use my own phone as a weapon of terror. It began with a series of chilling phone calls, each one more menacing than the last. The voice on the other end was distorted and inhuman, speaking cryptic threats and riddles that sent shivers down my spine. They seemed to know my deepest fears, my daily routines, and the most intimate details of my life. The phone calls were just the beginning. Mysterious packages began arriving in the mail, envelopes containing photographs that struck fear into my heart. They were images of me, captured in moments when I had believed I was alone. I was a prisoner within the very walls of my own home. Late at night, I would hear footsteps, soft and haunting, echoing through my quiet house. The feeling of being watched was relentless, a constant presence that made every corner of my home feel like a prison. Shadows danced in the periphery of my vision, and I would find strange, inexplicable marks on the walls, as if some unseen force was toying with me. The authorities were baffled, unable to trace the source of the calls or the origin of the photographs. It was as if the unseen pursuer existed beyond the realm of reality, a malevolent entity that defied all attempts to unmask them. The nightmares continued, with no end in sight.
My sense of security had been shattered, and I lived in a state of perpetual terror, never knowing when the next phone call or package would arrive. As the weeks turned into months, just when I thought I couldn't bear the torment any longer, the unseen pursuer suddenly stopped. The calls ceased, the packages ended, and the footsteps faded into silence. I was left with an unsettling void, a chilling sense of emptiness and uncertainty. The unknown still hung over me like a shroud, a reminder that in the digital age, there were predators who could invade your life and leave you in a constant state of fear. Though the torment had ended, the scars it left behind were permanent. I had glimpsed the true terror that could hide in plain sight, and I would never view my home or the digital world the same way again. The unseen pursuer may have disappeared for now, but I knew that the darkness they represented could return at any moment, leaving me in a state of perpetual dread. I lived on, forever changed, a survivor of a relentless nightmare that defied explanation and left me haunted by the knowledge that unseen horrors could lurk within the most ordinary of places. Unseen. Menace. The lurid letters. I was a 28-year-old woman living in a picturesque, quiet neighborhood. Life was simple and peaceful, or so I thought. Little did I know that my tranquil existence would be forever marred by a relentless and unseen pursuer, one who was anything but a stranger. It all began with a series of chilling phone calls that pierced the silence of my home. The voice on the other end was distorted, a sinister whisper that spoke in cryptic threats. They seemed to know everything about me, from my daily routines to my deepest fears. The voice hinted at secrets I thought were well hidden, but the phone calls were only the beginning. Soon, I started receiving unsettling letters in the mail, letters filled with cryptic messages and gruesome drawings. They hinted at a malevolent presence that was always watching, always near. I felt like a prisoner in my own home. At night, I would hear the soft but unmistakable creaking of the floorboards, like stealthy footsteps moving through the house. Objects would shift inexplicably, as if moved by unseen hands. Shadows danced in the corners of my vision, and I would find eerie symbols etched onto my walls, their meaning eluding me. The authorities were brought in, but they couldn't seem to trace the stalker. It was as if the pursuer was a ghost, leaving no trail to follow, no evidence to identify them. The torment continued, with no end in sight. My once peaceful life had been transformed into a never-ending nightmare. The phone calls, letters, and the ever-present feeling of being watched had become my reality. As the months passed, just when I thought I couldn't bear the torment any longer, the relentless pursuit suddenly stopped. The phone calls ceased, the letters stopped arriving, and the eerie occurrences in my home dwindled. I was left in a haunting silence, a chilling void that made me question whether the torment was truly over. The unknown still hung over me, a reminder that in the darkest corners of reality, there were predators who could invade your life and leave you in a state of paralyzing fear. The torment had left indelible scars that would never fade. I had learned the chilling truth that some nightmares couldn't be explained or rationalized. The haunting presence may have retreated, but I knew that the specter of fear they represented could return at any moment, leaving me in a state of constant dread. I lived on, forever changed, marked by an unseen pursuer that defied all reason and left me haunted by the knowledge that unseen horrors could lurk in the most ordinary of places.